Hello, I'm Atindra Chaturvedi. In this video, we will look at the process in detail in a lab, the process of upgrading vCenter version 6.0 to the latest vCenter version 6.5. So we will upgrade vCenter version 6.0 to vCenter 6.5. At the same time, we will also migrate the vCenter installation to a new ESXi host. So we are now logged into the vSphere web client to a vCenter server at address 192.168.0.210, and you can see from the version information that this is a version 6 implementation. Now the plan is to upgrade this version 6.0 version of a vCenter server to version 6.5. Now this vCenter is actually a vCenter server appliance. So we're going to go through that process to upgrade this appliance to version 6.5. So I'm now back into my laptop, and I have a DVD drive where I have the image for the version 6.5 installer for the vCenter server appliance. And as you can see, there is a folder in here which is VCSA UI installer. I double click on that, it's Windows, and then I click on installer. So we are now on the home screen for the vCenter Server Appliance 6.5 installer. We can install a new vCenter Server Appliance or a Platform Services Controller Appliance version 6.5. We can upgrade an existing vCenter Server Appliance, and we can do this from a version 5.5 or a version 6.0. I have a vCenter Server Appliance 6.0 we saw earlier. We will be upgrading that to version 6.5. This is a really interesting one where we can migrate from an existing vCenter server for Windows to a vCenter Server Appliance. This is going to come in handy because in many vSphere data centers, there is the need to use Windows only because people are using the vCenter server for Windows. And with the vCenter Server Appliance now being fully configured and fully capable, and in fact most of the, if not all, the new services are being implemented in the vCenter Server Appliance, the need for running a Windows server or a set of Windows servers to host vCenter server is decreasing. We can also restore from a previously created vCenter Server Appliance backup. We're going to do an upgrade, so I click on upgrade. This installer allows you to upgrade vCenter Server Appliance 5.5 or 6.0 or a Platform Services Controller, which came out in version 6.0 to version 6.5. So I have a vCenter Server Appliance, which is a version 6 appliance, but the process is the same basically for vCenter Server Appliance. I click next. I accept the license agreement, and I specify the source appliance IP address, which is 192.168.0.210. The SSO username is actually the domain is different. It is packedpub.local. SSO password is, and the appliance password is. My ESXi host where this is hosted is 192.168.0.200. Correct. My username there is root, and my password there is, and I click next. I get my certificate warning. I click yes to continue, and I now need to specify the appliance deployment target settings. So the target that we're talking about here is the ESXi host on which the appliance will be deployed. Now this is interesting because this really, the source and the target, it seems, do not have to be the same in terms of the hosts. I do not have a second server up and running, or actually perhaps I do. Let me take a quick look. I did a quick check and I have a second server running as well, when we can try to use that. So the source host and the target host for the upgraded version 6.5 appliance would be different. Let's give it a try. 192.168.0.202 is my other server, which has the passwords of, or the credentials as such. And I click next. It found it. Looks good. I give it a name, 6.5, and the root passwords for the appliance. These have to be complex passwords, as you know. The deployment size, I'm going to keep it tiny, and the size will be default as well. I click next. So my VMFS capacity, I have quite a bit of it free. I enable thin disk mode, which means does not pre-allocate, save space. So you know what thin disk is. I'm going to enable that. Although that data store is thin provisioning data store. I hit next. Now I need to configure the network settings. So the appliance requires a temporary network identity so it can copy data from the source appliance. And then when the data has been copied, the network identity of the source appliance is then transferred to the new appliance, and the source appliance is then shut down. So I will use DHCP, and I will not give it an optional system name. It's unnecessary right now. And we click next. We let DHCP give us a temporary IP address. Okay, so our source vCenter is 192.168.0.210. It's going to a new host, 192.168.0.202, and this is what its name is, and I think we're good. And it is starting the process of initializing. And as it progresses, I will pause the recording and show you where it is at different moments in time. So after initializing, it's deploying the appliance. As we know, that is the stage 1 of our upgrade process. So it took about 10 minutes or so on this server. The appliance has now been deployed and is powering on. And now it is in the process of setting up storage and is 81% complete. It's taken about, 20 minutes or so approximately. And now it's installing the various RPMs. This is the license service, the application monitoring, Cloud VM, and so on. And we are almost at the end. It's now configuring the machine, the network. And now we have successfully deployed the vCenter server with an embedded platform services controller. The deployment is complete. So remember, this is stage 1. To proceed to stage 2, appliance setup, click continue. This is where we are. To proceed with stage 2 of the appliance setup, click continue, which is where the copy function would be invoked and the old appliance would then be decommissioned and actually powered off. Now, this is interesting. If you exit, you can continue with the appliance setup at any time by logging into the vCenter server appliance management interface at 192.168.0.30. So this is the temporary IP address that's been given to this new deployment by DHCP. Remember, in stage 2, after the copying is done from source to target appliance, then the network identity, which was originally was 192.168.0.210, will also be moved over to this, and this .30 address will not be necessary anymore. So we will click continue to go to stage 2. This wizard allows you to upgrade a vCenter server appliance with an embedded platform and so on. So we click next. It's doing pre-upgrade checks. And it came back with a pre-upgrade check result. Let's take a look. It's a warning. There are 2 warnings here. Scroll down. Catch it right. There are 2 warnings. The first warning is that the host name 192.168.0.210, which is our source vCenter server appliance, is not DNS resolvable. I know that. It also says it matches the machine certificates. Okay, and then the newly deployed appliance will be set to 0.210. Although the legacy appliance FQDN is set as a localhost domain, this might result in inability to access the appliance through FQDN localhost local DOM. That's fine. I actually always, at least in my lab, I use it. I use the IP address directly. So again, in actual practice, obviously, you would be using DNS. So I will close this. Select the upgrade data. Select the data that you wish to copy from the source vCenter server. Now, what I want to do is to copy only the configuration. There's no point in copying configuration event and tasks for me at this point in time, because I have just a basic initial implementation of that vCenter server that I put up there. But then the difference between the configuration and at least what I have in place right now is not too much different. So I have 1.3 gigabytes requirement if I do only configuration, and there's only a very slight increase in the amount of storage if I do everything. So I am going to select all of it: configuration, events, tasks, and performance metrics. Now, of course, you need to make the right decision based on your environment and what you're looking to do. So I will click next. I don't want to join the customer experience program as yet. I click next, and we are ready to complete. Let's take a look. Our source vCenter server appliance has an embedded PSC, Platform Services Controller. Its address is 192.168.0.210. It's a version 6. Our target is going to be also a vCenter server appliance with an embedded PSC. It'll initially have a temporary address, as it says here, of 192.168.0.30, and then post upgrade it'll have the same address as the source appliance. The key is it'll be upgraded to version 6.5.05100. I'll be copying configuration, events, tasks, and performance metrics. That's the size. Opted out of CEIP, and I have backed up the source vCenter and all the required database. I am going to check it, otherwise the finish button is not enabled. No, it does enable it. That's interesting. I will click finish. You must acknowledge. I will acknowledge, and I click on finish. The source vCenter will be shut down once the network configuration is enabled on the destination vCenter server, and that's perfectly fine with us, because all we're interested in is the new version 6.5 version vCenter server at the same address of .210. I will click on OK, and the upgrade is now being initiated. It'll copy the data from the source vCenter. So the data is being exported from the legacy system. It'll then set up the target vCenter server, start services, and then import the copied data. All very common sense, and I will pause the recording at this point. And the process is now complete. So data transfer and appliance setup has been completed successfully, and the vSphere web client address is now, as you can see, the same address as the original version 6 vCenter server appliance, which was at 192.168.0.210. That network address has now been transferred over to this vCenter server version 6.5. In addition, we migrated the server, the vCenter server, which is running at a site which was hosted at the ESXi host of .200. It has now been moved over to a new ESXi host at address .202. So in addition to doing the upgrade, we were able to simultaneously move the vCenter server appliance over to a completely new ESXi host. And we will be using this new ESXi host when we go to the step of upgrading vSphere 6.0 to vSphere 6.5 using the Update Manager utilities. So back to the lab again, and what I've done is, as you can see, I've logged into 192.168.0.210, which is the address of the vCenter server that we have migrated, or rather upgraded to. So remember, the original .210 was a version 6, and as you can see now, this is now version 6.5.0, which means that we were able to successfully upgrade the original version, and this is the proof that it has been completed. In the process, as you know, we also migrated this over to a completely brand new server as well. In the next video, we will upgrade an installation of vSphere 6.0 and upgrade it to vSphere 6.5. The process we will use would be to use the update manager server that we installed earlier. I look forward to seeing you there.